Welcome to another broadcast of The Soul of the Everyman on the ArtistFirst radio network. All past shows are archived and can be downloaded in podcast form at ArtistFirst.com. If you have a question or comment, hit us up at DJ@ArtistFirst.com. And now here they are, the wise ones. It's Michael and Margaret Lyons.
I think that's our new name, the Wise Ones. Can we change the show name to the Wise Ones? That'd be awesome. Welcome to the Wise Ones.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. Anyway, welcome to the Soul of the Everyman, where wisdom is on tap.
That'd be a great beer name.
It would. Wisdom on tap. Actually, beer is the actual opposite of wisdom. And my name is Michael Lyons, speaking of the opposite of wisdom, and...
Hi, I'm Margaret.
Because speaking of wisdom, there's Margaret, and welcome to the show. And tonight's show is going to be an interesting one, we think, because it's about a topic which we all kind of live in. It's called the illusion of permanence. We all live in this sort of let's just call it what it is. It's a fantasy world where things never, right?
Yes, we all live in a fantasy world.
We all live in a fantasy world where things never change, or where we would least like them not to change. And the seductiveness, the amazing amount of belief that we put into the fact that things never change, rather, especially in the face of the overwhelming evidence
every day.
Of every day that everything changes, every blessed thing changes every day. The illusion of permanence is something which shouldn't even have a chance. Every one of us should wake up and say, "Gosh, what's going to be different today?" But we don't. We wake up and open our eyes and think everything is the same.
It's true.
And we almost we get really upset when it isn't.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's something so cute about humans. We are very.
We're so cute.
We're so cute because we really think nothing's going to change, and we're just astounded when it does. And that's it's on the surface it's kind of funny, but if you just dig a little bit deeper, there's a huge conflict in every person. The huge conflict in every person is we really do know that everything's changing, that we're all marching to the grave, that every day in every way there's nothing permanent. Every heartbeat should be considered a gift, but yet we have this amazing desire to take it all for granted and think it's all going to be always the same, that once something's good, that it's written in stone that good thing that we have deemed good will be with us forever. And, there's huge swaths of the economy that are based on this illusion that somehow if you do the XYZ thing or take the XYZ pill or comb your hair the right way, that you'll never grow old or that you'll always remain, handsome and potent or beautiful or powerful. And yet, that illusion, as seductive as it is it's a real way to actually not experience the true majesty of life, which is that, number one, nothing is permanent, that this is a fleeting instant. Our whole life is a fleeting instant on the earth, and therefore every moment is precious, and every moment one should live it. A wasted moment is one that you're not getting back, and something has changed. Every moment you are changing. Things that you do change other things. The world just changes randomly.
So you're proposing that most of us basically ignore everything that's obvious in front of us, and we create something in our heads that we'd rather acknowledge, because you have to acknowledge that change is happening. But if you don't and you ignore it, then you think you can sort of make your own reality.
Mm-hmm. It's a lovely sentiment, but people live it. I reject your reality and I substitute my own. Margaret, that's not far from the truth at all. That we would rather live in that fantasy world. We prefer it.
Right, because you don't want to make space for change. That's really what it comes down to. Because whenever you acknowledge something, you've got to make space for it in your own life, in your head, in your actions. You make space for what you acknowledge.
You have to accept the reality, which we're humans, again, so cute, not good at, accepting the reality of things. We are very prone to living in a degree of a fantasy world. People say, well, I'm a hard rock-ribbed realist, but yet those same rock-ribbed realists are ignoring or counting on things to be permanent all the time.
Well, if you think about how they come up with this idea that what they're thinking is permanent, how do we come up with this idea that what we think about is permanent?
How exactly? Based on what experience? You can't base it on any experience because.
Oh, but all the time. But that is the assumption that's made, is that I've experienced it, therefore, and it happened this way, therefore, it's always going to happen this way.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe if we dissect it a little bit. So what we're really saying is that I've figured this out, and therefore it can't change. I understand this, so rather than spend the time to continually try and figure something out, we say, well, that's got to be what it is. That's how it is. So we build a definition, and then in spite of all, in many ways, many times, in spite of all facts, we adhere to the definition of what we think is reality.
Mm-hmm.
Until when the reality does what reality does, which is it changes, and all of a sudden
life intrudes on your reality.
Right, but then we have the temerity to be upset about it.
Of course. How dare you?
How dare you intrude your reality on mine? And not only that, but the trump card, and this goes back to Archimedes or Socrates, is A is A. Reality really is reality. You can't. There's a wonderful saying is you can have your own opinion, but you can't have your own facts. And,
see, that's where everybody wants to have their own facts.
Well,
isn't that fascinating, though? Just think about that for a second.
Yes.
Think about that.
Yes.
Like, no, that fact can't be. It's my fact that's right. No, but and you sit there and you go, okay, a fact is not an opinion.
Right. Well, even better is, facts. The definition of the word, what the word should mean, is a fact is something which is not. It's not arguable. When you've reached what's called ground truth, you've touched upon reality. So this is not arguable. This is, and from there you can go. You can form your opinions on how it got that way and what it's going to do next. But the isness of things is its ground truth. It's basic reality, and written in large, we say, well, reality is sort of permanent, but really isn't, because the heat death of the universe. So even what we call reality has a degree of impermanence to it. But it's a lot more permanent than your opinion. But yet people will very happily do what you said, which is substitute your opinion or your belief about what is reality for what actually is, or what is it, what is provably true, and be upset and put out of sorts when your carefully constructed illusion, because that's what it is, it's a fantasy, it's an illusion, is sort of, blown to the wind or knocked over by the wave. It's just flattened by reality.
Mhm. Well, it's just the concepts, the carefully constructed. It's again the analogy of the sandcastle at the edge of the little ocean. You carefully construct it, bit by bit, stack on stack, but time goes on, and the tide rises, and no matter what you do, you can't stop it. So it's a microcosm of how we function. Because right in that moment, it's like, this is great. I know how this is going to go. We're going to make this. We're going to do that. And then time passes. And conditions change. And very few people actually make space for the conditions of change in their life. Some people believe that if you plan your life out, that means that I've made space for the conditions of change.
Right.
I'm going to grow up. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to go out into the world and get a job. I'm going to go find a mate. We're going to get married. They just plan this all the way down to the point of what age this is supposed to happen. And
to the nth degree.
And then all the little flotsam and jetsam that comes with it, the details of the wedding and where it's going to be, or what he looks like, or what our children will look like, or where we're going to live. All that is just little bits of illusion that you love. And I believe the phrase in English is sandcastles in the air.
Yes, exactly. Sandcastles in the air. Go ahead.
You're not even building sandcastles in the sand.
Right. Well, yet, the funny thing about it is though that what we do is we take a snapshot of the reality that we like. It isn't a complete fantasy. Like all the things you just said, those are all things that could happen. They're all things that you may have seen happen or you would like to happen. So you build the illusion with its underpinnings in, let's say, probable things that could happen. Things that could happen. I could get married. I could have 2.5 kids, whatever.
It's just, it would be good to acknowledge that this may be a dream of yours as opposed to a game plan.
Well, yeah, that would be the same thing to do, but we cute humans, we don't operate in the sanity part of the world. We operate in the I'm just going to make my reality what I want it to be kind of world.
Well, there's nothing wrong with having a dream.
Well, you're absolutely right. From what dreams may come, from our dreams, we are able to imagine what might be, and certainly work towards fulfillment of a dream.
But when you fixate,
yes,
okay, that's the difference between acknowledgement of the dream and basically believing that you can organize your life on this timetable. It's a fixation.
And I think you're right, and I think also that the illusion of permanence allows fixation. The idea that things are never going to change allows us to fixate. And to tie one's well-being or one's happiness to permanence, to, that this won't change, or I'll allow some things to change, the things that I'd like to have change, but anything I don't like to have change, or it can't, or won't, or I won't acknowledge that it has.
You mean happily ever after doesn't exist?
Well, that does. That's okay. Happily ever after definitely exists. But the illusion allows us to pin our mental image of who we are, and it is a mental image of who we are, and our mental image of what makes us happy to this illusion, which has its underpinnings in what we call reality. But then, what you said before, the true reality, things change. All of a sudden, something happens that the phrase is something happened that I hadn't planned for, as though it was a surprise. and and true reality-based people would have said, well, when something happens to you, let's just talk about the illusion of permanence lends itself to the reaction of surprise when something happens that you weren't expecting. And that is crazy town, people, because being surprised and then being upset about something that happened that you weren't expecting is like saying, I am the master of the universe and nothing happens unless I want it to. So therefore, I can't be surprised. And surprise upsets you because it shatters yet another illusion that you're the master of the universe.
I am in control, and that's the core. You want to be in control. So it scares you if you realize that you're actually not.
Right. Well, yes. And even if you don't put it in such stark terms, the illusion of permanence lets you pretend that the universe is not a terrible place, that anything could happen at any time, when in fact it is a terrible place that anything can happen at any time. But you have to turn around the idea of terrible. Our happiness, our cute little human happiness, we tie it to this illusion that the universe is also a controllable, that somebody's controlling it, whether it's me or somebody else, rational, doesn't move unless I want it to kind of thing, like a toy. But in fact, the universe is a wild, unpredictable, amazing, beautiful thing that we are part of, that moves constantly, that is in constant change, and that we are in constant change. And tying our happiness to an illusion of that it doesn't change leads to unhappiness, because you're going to be disappointed. The universe is going to change, and it's not going to ask your permission.
Well, it's true.
It's
true. But that is the foundation of, I think, a lot of major unhappiness in this world.
Yeah.
Because they're being taught that you can control your world. You're supposed to control your world. Your world is supposed to make you happy.
Mm.
And you sit there and you go, wait a minute. Who said?
Well, and that question isn't asked, or if it is asked, it's shouted down.
Mm-hmm. Because they say, oh, no, you must be some sort of weakling, or you're too stupid to run your life right.
Oh, even better, yes. You haven't got the right insurance, yeah.
Or you haven't, you just don't know how to live. You must be so poor in living life that you just don't know how to live to make yourself happy, you poor thing. Oh, we'll just pat you on the head. So you sit there and you go, life will teach you that impermanence is the only thing that you can count on.
And I think you've struck upon something that I think we're going to spend a little time on, or at least I'd like to, is the guarantee of unhappiness is tied to the illusion of permanence. Guarantee. If you're living in illusion, there will be a moment or many moments when the illusion is ripped away.
There will be a time. It's not just a spotted little moment through your blip of life, unless you are institutionalized in some way.
Well, yes. And then there's the other side, and this is what I'd like to talk about some, if we can, is how do you live a happy life in a universe that you accept, make space for, that it's always changing. And I think that's the key, is what people are searching for. Why is the illusion seductive? Because they're searching for a way to be happy. And they think that if they just, la, 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 I can't hear you, the universe is just fine, long enough that somehow it will stay away, whatever talisman or insurance or, whatever it is that you think, plan, list, whatever, is going to make you happy because you've got it all under control. Instead, the true reality, Margaret, is you're living on the edge of ultimate dissolution constantly. So you say to yourself, how can I be happy there? There is a way, but I think that's what we want to kind of show people. How do you live in the impermanent universe with the impermanent you?
Your life is a life where you're walking on a knife's edge.
And loving it.
Well, you're convincing yourself that it can't be. It just can't be.
No, I think that you can.
No, they're saying it can't be. I can't be living with that as a reality. That can't be real. Like, it's just no. That doesn't feel right at all. So you sit there and you go, okay, just take a moment. What is it that's telling you that can't be right? And in truth, in your heart, it does tell you that there is permanence, but people keep trying to find it in the body world.
In the physical.
Mm-hmm. That's the difference. It's the part of you that's telling you that there is permanence, and then that's all they hear is, okay, there's permanence, so I'm going to do this. Like, and the other part's going, no, you didn't finish. I didn't finish talking. No, you didn't finish listening.
Right.
Come back. Okay, they're gone.
There we go. Well, let's stop right there, because that's exactly it. There is permanence. I think that's the key that you just mentioned.
But that's the key to the dissatisfaction. Internally there is permanence, but you think you have to search the world to find it.
Or make the world into it.
But that's what I mean. It's like somehow this world is going to show you what permanence is. And that's interesting.
It is. To state it succinctly, we're going to maybe we'll certainly run this into the next half hour, but to state it succinctly is the permanence that we're searching for is never going to be found in the physical. We even said it 10 minutes ago. Even what we're calling reality, and you can go to any, all your scientific journals, it had a beginning, and it has a middle where we are, and it has an end, and certainly even if you let's not talk about the universe, let's talk about you. You had a beginning, and you're in your middle, your kind of fat period, and then there's an end, So even just bring it all the way down to you. Your physical changes constantly. This is a great thing. People want to talk about themselves. Well, you are changing constantly. There's nothing about you that's permanent. So basing your whole happiness on the permanence of things, that I'm never going to sag, my hair's never going to fall out, I'm always going to be young and youthful, it's not working, is it? Where's the permanence? The permanence is, as you said, in the spirit, where we know we're permanent, we know that there's a part of us that's permanent, and yet we want to ignore that.
Well, that's the part that when you're upset, you wind up asking yourself all these questions.
Right.
And that part just comes up, and it's like, so you listening now?
Right. Are you ready?
Well, it's just that the mental aspect of you keeps trying to reason its way into an answer. Mm-hmm. And it can't be doing it wrong. Everything else must be doing it wrong. And until you get to the end of yourself, I mean, you beat yourself up tremendously when you're in that mental mode. Tremendous condemnation in that, because you're not doing it right.
Right. Or if you only did X, Y, Z that everyone told you you should have done,
right.
it would have worked out.
And then since it's so difficult to accept responsibility for my own life and my own mistakes, it's got to be another reason that this happened. It can't be me.
Right. And so there your happiness tied to the permanence of you is guaranteed to be dissatisfaction and guaranteed to not be fulfilled. Because you, the permanence of you, is not the physical you. You are getting older every day. Just saying. Sorry to drop a truth bomb on you, but I'm getting older every day. We are all getting older every day, or we're dead. This is like really depressing, but it's not. It's not, because the permanent part of you is not getting older every day. The part of you which connects to spirit, the part of you which is an eternal being, is the part that's saying, yeah, here, over here, the quiet voice, over here. This is where the happiness lies. And when you live there, where the great Buddhists and philosophers, when they live there, watching the body fall apart, it's amusing. You're like, yep, another thing fell off. Yay me. Because you watch the world go through its throes of change, and you go, yes, this is great. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
And you're not supposed to connect with the outward reality.
Right. What's the whole thing? You eschew attachment, and people say, "Well, that means I can't have my own, bank account." Well, it does. Yeah, but it's not that. The attachment is the attachment to this reality as being the only reality, and
to the exclusion of everything else. When this reality becomes the one and only thing, to the absolute exclusion, pushing away every other thing or possibility, then you are at the altar worshiping yourself.
Well, you're also living in hell.
And you are, yes, because you're attached to the impermanence that is the constancy of this life.
Right. And
it is equivalent to no joy.
No joy. Gautama's wonderful revelation, all life is suffering. It sounds terrible, but what he was really saying is that there is no permanence. There is nothing here that becomes joy forever. You have to understand that at the basic level and then say, that's okay. It's supposed to be that way. You're not supposed to live here. You're renting. Okay, you're renting here.
Leasing. Some of us lease.
some of us lease. And I think I'll tell you what, let's give up our spot and go back to the studio for a little bit. You guys think about it, chill out, and we're going to talk about how wonderful it can be to be impermanent.
The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed is the latest book from Michael Lyons, the award-winning author of There is a Reaper. Featuring 13 original stories, this wide-ranging collection has everything. Forbidden love, gods versus demigods, weird invading aliens, sexy seductive artificial intelligence, and unusual passion between the living and the dead. All set amidst fantastic worlds of pain and loss and boundless joy. From the sublime to the macabre to the bittersweet, The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed will leave you breathless with laughter, brimming with tears, trembling with suspense. Available now on Amazon.com, Google Play, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere.
The Timeless Esoterica radio program with Dr. Bruce is broadcast on the fourth Monday of every month at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on ArtistFirst.com. We explore topics including the paranormal, alien life, mysteries, conspiracies, hidden history, oddities, and much more. Each show will feature a special guest with exciting and thought-provoking discussion. Always keep an open mind, an open heart, live forever, and remember Dr. Bruce believes in you.
Rick Riordan fans, love mythology with plenty of action and humor? Destroyer's Blood is for you. The new fantasy novel by award-winning author Michael Lynes is book one of the adventures of Devkalion, the Blood series. Follow Dev and his magic sword Betrayer as they are suddenly attacked and forced to return to Olympus to fight in a war they want no part in. The world of men and gods is about to be destroyed by Zeus's ancient foe, and only Dev and Trey can stop him. The conflict never stops, and the amazing twist will have you on the edge of your seat. Act now while the ebook is on sale for only 99 cents. Destroyer's Blood is available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere. And while you're there, get the free prequel, It's in the Blood, available for a limited time.
Hi, this is Minette Lauren, author of Race for the Sun. Do you believe in guardian angels? Check out book one of my Soul Watcher series. It can be found on Amazon.com or anywhere fine books are sold. Go to www.minettelauren.com, and you are listening to the ArtistFirst Radio Network.
There is a Reaper is the story of 5-year-old Christopher Aaron and his life-changing struggle with leukemia. Winner of both the Indie Brag Medallion as well as the reader's favorite silver medal for memoir, There is a Reaper has more than 100 Amazon book reviews and a 5-star rating. It has been described as life-changing, spiritual, a must-read. Just released on Audible and iTunes, this memoir is also available in paperback and on Amazon Kindle for only 99 cents. Get your copy of this life-changing memoir today.
Listening to The Soul of the Everyman on the ArtistFirst Radio Network. Let's get back to your hosts, Michael and Margaret Lynes.
See, that didn't take so long. That's the impermanence of a commercial break. and welcome back to the second half of The Soul of the Everyman. And tonight's show is about the illusion of permanence. Mm-hmm. And I think we spent the first half hour really discussing how seductive and how much we want things to be permanent. And the key point is that we'd like them to be permanent here. And again, we're talking a little bit all this time about how cute humans are. We would like reality here, our bodies, us, right now, in this moment, to be permanent. And there's a huge, people are questing for the drug that's going to make us all live forever. And all those are worthy pursuits, and everything's wonderful, and keeping things to. But this place, and by that I mean this universe, is not a place of permanence. It is a place of incredible and constant change. Mm-hmm. You know, if something passes away, something dies, within 10 femtoseconds, it is rotting away. Because this place, without constant upkeep on the body, there's a bazillion things trying to tear it apart all the time. Without constant upkeep on your possessions, on your car, on your house, on everything, on the fact that if you don't mow the lawn every 20 minutes, it changes. The roof goes bad, the car goes flat, your hair falls out. this is and all those things at once, and this is a place where that should be expected and the norm, and we should sit back and realize that the only permanence is not in the body. The only permanence is in the spirit. The only permanence is to realize that it's permanently changing.
Correct. Everything changes.
There's the truism.
I think of the, what do they call it? When they're trying to carbon date something. It's radioactive decay.
Yes. Yes. We can go back hundreds of, I don't know how many thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, and see something organic and realize that it's been in the ground for that long of a period of time because of exactly that. Mm-hmm. There's a thing called radioactive decay. Now, it's funny because of this. Everyone thinks that, let's say, atoms, they're so tiny they must be permanent. Well, radioactive decay is atoms falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Even atoms fall apart.
Yep.
And do they fall apart for a reason? Not that anyone can tell. They just fall apart randomly. And you can't look at one atom and say, this one's about to fall apart. Nope, you have no idea. But radioactive decay is we're looking at, a lot of atoms at once. And we can say, well, we know a certain percentage of them will fall apart randomly every year. And if you look at...
And that is a constant.
Well, it's... Yes, but the point is that those things... The only thing that we're able to think is a constant is how quickly things, or the rate at which their things are falling apart.
Exactly.
There's something there in the basic mechanism of the universe that shows you that it's impermanent, because not only is everything around you changing, time's going on, but the very fabric, what we consider the fabric of all things, the atomic structure, is just, babytown nonsense falling apart. There goes another atom, damn it.
There goes the electrons.
There goes the electrons.
Yeah.
So everything from basic theoretical physics all the way up to the fact that you can't draw to an inside straight or still hit your tennis serve straight. It shows you that what was before will change. Now, it's not always falling apart. Sometimes things are getting better, but in fact, the universe is kind of winding down over all of its current life up to its present moment, and we look to the future and we think it's winding down. Everything is kind of going towards a rest state, from a very high energy state a long time ago to now to a very low energy state back then. It's like a big clock spring. It's unwinding. Well, that's, everyone says, oh, that's happening, but who cares? Well, how about you? You are a little clock spring, but you are unwinding. And it's okay. That's the point that people miss. We go, oh, that's terrible. I don't want to unwind. Well, you know what? You're unwinding, along with every bloody other thing, including all the atoms in the universe. So don't feel special. And you should just not just get used to it. You should celebrate it. You are part of an unwinding universe.
Well, this is what it means to be part of the creation.
Yes.
This is what it means to be part of the universe. And to understand that this is foundational. This process is foundational. You are living in a universe of process. And when you can find the process in your life, in the many things that you look at and attempt to engage in and attempt to do, then you can understand that you actually are celebrating creation. You're celebrating the earth. But until you do that, you are denying the reality of this earth.
And of creation.
There is nothing on this sweet earth that is forever. And people are saying, well, now you're being maudlin. Now you're being, depressing.
Oh, how depressing. It shouldn't be.
And no, because when you realize that impermanence is, and change is, and there's that part of you that screams, but it can't be so, that part of you understands that there is permanence, but it's not here. That's what you didn't hear. There is permanence, but not here. It's like you stuck your fingers in your ears and went la, 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 and didn't hear,
right.
But not here.
And exactly. And the happiness, the unhappiness of thinking that permanence is here and that somehow if we do enough things, we can make it not change.
Well, you can't fill that void, because when you realize that there is nothing but impermanence here, there's an emptiness that you feel. It's like, no, it can't be true. It's like you're putting your trust in a changing world, hoping that it doesn't change. And the truth is, the never-changing part is within. And it's the part that looks out of your physical eyes and sees things and hears with your physical ears and decides what it's going to do in the next moment. That part, that consciousness, is part of the unchanging spirit that you are. So to take that in, to understand that you must incorporate that aspect of you. It is a core being state that you are, the spirit that you are. So to embrace that first will allow for you to begin to take steps in living comfortably,
happily,
in a forever changing universe.
Yes. And as we mentioned, I forget it was last half hour of this, but once you do that, the revelation is that not that nothing matters. Everything matters. Everything matters as much as it did before. But the acceptance of the change of everything is, let's just say, let's use a case in point. Something bad happens today, and you go, that's bad. You go, maybe tomorrow will be better, because things will change. And then that's an incredibly hopeful thing. Change is not something which I think people think, Margaret, that change is always bad. Change is bad, and bad ideas come from other people. So like the two things, change is bad, and bad ideas come from other people. But change is just is. It's not good or bad. So the wonderful thing about a bad thing happening to you right now that you consider bad is that it's probably going to change. In fact, it's a guarantee that it will change. And the acceptance of constant, uncontrollable, or at least certainly unstoppable change is a happy. Once you accept that you can't tell what's going to happen next, you say, well, something good might happen. So you have a hopefulness to yourself. You also have this once you divorce your happiness from this illusion of physical permanence and you turn it towards the truth of spiritual permanence and the acceptance of change, you no longer can have a bad day, because you know that the day is yours, that change will happen every moment, and that there's nothing you have to do to stop it. There's no insurance you can buy. There's no pill you can take. There's nothing that you can do, nor should you try. to at least not to tie your happiness. Try that, to say, well, if I don't do this, I'm like you were saying, beat yourself up that somehow I'm failing. No, you're being you. Things are changing. Take the good because the good is here, and enjoy it because it's impermanent. Hey, eat that ice cream, have that cookie because it won't be there later. you know? And something bad happens, whatever vicissitude that life hands you, you go, well, that's bad. I'm gonna have to deal with it, but it won't be there forever because I won't be here forever at the worst, and it won't last. It'll do what it does, and then it'll be done.
Life is change. It's when you can embrace that your experience of life down here, your spirit that is permanent, that is eternal, is interacting in a realm that is not eternal. Accepting that and understanding that,
Exactly.
So I decide.
Yeah. There's your control if you want it.
Mm-hmm. What do you put your trust in? If you trust in the eternity of your soul, the eternity of your spirit, it's very freeing, by the way. Because, you don't have to worry about whether or not a certain person likes you or doesn't like you, or a certain group accepts you or doesn't accept you, or, what happens to be the state of affairs you happen to be in right now. You don't have enough money, or you have enough money, but what should I do with it? Because people like to worry about everything.
Exactly. If you're tied here, yes.
Yeah. So to understand that, that's all fun. If you think of it in terms of, I'm down here to experience life. What does it mean to be able to watch a sunrise? What does it mean to be able to hold the hand of a little one and help them up when they've fallen? What does it mean to wipe a tear from the eye of someone you care so deeply about? Some people want to say, it has to have meaning. But the meaning is that relationship, that expression of your heart. When I ask, what does it mean when you do that? You can't put a monetary value on any of it. It is so dear to the heart that you would do anything to be there in that moment, to comfort, to wipe the tear from the eye of the one you love.
And it's a be there.
Mm-hmm. And that moment is eternal.
Yes.
That's what you wind up putting in your eternity bank. If you think of experiences down here as making deposits in your eternity bank, that would be one of them.
Yeah, well, and in fact, every moment is an experience bank, is a deposit in the eternity bank, because they all are as lived and being in, as any other. What you've touched upon, though, is that we aren't alone here. Okay, so we've been talking about the universe like you were the only thing in it. Sorry. There are other people here too who are beings in the physical, who are spirits that are permanent. And what Margaret just touched on, and this is the actual thing, is the significance of being here. Well, if nothing matters and it's all winding down, then nothing matters and I don't have to be here. God, you're missing the point. The point of being here is not to realize that everything's running down and it's all falling apart and that therefore it's meaningless, because you just said it. That's not the part that we're worrying about. We're not taking meaning from that which is ephemeral, even the universe. No meaning. The meaning, the significance, is to interact with another here, because here's where we interact right now, at the spirit permanent level. So every moment that you have down here is a moment you could use to interact with the other people down here that aren't the ones that aren't you.
You mean the ones you share the road with?
Oh my God! You mean there's other people here? Yes, amazingly, you could take your gaze out of your navel or wherever you're gazing, and realize that the important permanent things are what Margaret just said: the wiping of the tears, the comforting, the loving, the relationships that you get to put in your eternity bank or whatever. But the point is that those are the things. We always say that, what was the saying? You never see a hearse with a U-Haul behind it. You can't take any of this, and by that I mean the whole universe is impermanent. But even just bring it down to you again, because that's our favorite subject. You are impermanent, and nothing that you touch comes with you. But what does come with you is the interactions, the things that you touch on the spirit, on the interaction plane, on the relationship plane, do come with you. They live so far beyond you that your physical, impermanent body is long gone, but those relationships and what you did is remembered basically forever. So there is the meaning. The meaning of life is not found in here. It's not found in just you. It's found in two, at least two, but certainly more than that. The relationship of you, permanent you, meaning spirit you, being you, to other person, permanent them, spirit them, creates the moment that you both get to keep. And amazingly, you can create as many moments as you want, and we never run out of them. Oh, it's like a permanent thing that you never run out of. Isn't it great? Mm-hmm. Relationship moments are permanent, and you never run out of them. There's never like 3 cookies and there's 4 people. No, there's as many people as there are, and there's as many relationship moments as there are for everybody.
And we live in a universe where you choose the quality of the relationship that you are in. It doesn't mean that you put a list out of your perfect person, and this is what you have to check off on the list to make the perfect person. Quality of the relationship is how your heart and the other's heart are actually interacting one to the other. How are you sharing this moment? It has nothing to do with the physical characteristics, but everything to do about whether or not your heart is truly engaged and you love or care about the other person enough to put their being state first. I'm not talking about needs or I'm not talking about wants, but where they happen to be right in that moment and what they happen to be saying right in that moment. Can you actually acknowledge that? Can you tell that person exactly what it was they just said? Or are you too busy formulating a response? Because that means you're being in your own head as opposed to being in the moment and sharing.
And amazingly, being in the moment of two and both putting the other's being state first, neither one is first in the grand sense.
It's a movement. It is the yin and the yang, where the two are swimming in that wonderful well, it looks like a circle, but it's actually a three-dimensional sphere, and they're swimming around and around. But it's that dance. That's what relationship is. You are having the other as the center point, putting that relationship first. That's why if you look at the yin and the yang, it's the white body with the black eye and the black body with the white eye that symbolize that they are thinking of each other.
Right.
Always within that dance.
And that wonderful sort of archetypical symbol is a being moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't one fish, or if you call it a fish, but there isn't one half of it that's being and the other half of it's being. In fact, separately, they aren't being. Together in the relationship instant, and the yin and yang is eternal, but it's also made up of instants, of moments, one after the other. Every moment of being
Mm-hmm.
is a relationship moment. It's a permanent moment.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so that movement, which is permitted by time, because if time didn't exist, you wouldn't have that movement.
Permitted by time is wonderful, because time is a wonderful thing in the sense that all the things that are running down in the physical, we say, oh, it's time. Yes, but only through time do you have the moments of relationship, and that they are individual moments.
Yes, and your soul marks them, experiences them, and puts them in your eternity bank.
Right. And you know what, folks? You're going to have to put this show in your eternity bank, because we have reached the end of the show of the Soul of the Everyman, and I hope we've given you a couple of things to think about. And please be permanent in yourself. And I'm Michael Lyons.
And I'm Margaret. And thank you for listening.